So the iPhone 17 Pro is here. And as a filmmaker, I don't look at this as just a normal phone upgrade. I'm not gonna tell you about how good the battery lasts or how powerful the chip is. For me, it's about one question. Does this phone push mobile filmmaking in a meaningful way? I've only had this phone for a couple of days, so it's not a full-on review, but I want to break down the new features that are important for filmmakers. Because on paper, there are some features that can generally change how we use iPhones on sets. Hi everyone, my name is Elvis. I'm a London-based filmmaker with over 5 years of experience, and I like making videos. I also like helping people. I like to break down the shoots, I like to show BTS, I like to explain my editing process, and everything basically that's connected with filmmaking. So today, we'll look into iPhone 17 Pro, not as a phone, but as a camera.
Can you put it on the line when the stakes high? Will you let up on the grind when the stakes high? Do you still put in the time when the stakes high? When the stakes high, when the stakes high, or do you break, huh?
So, after using these phones, and after using the 17 Pro for a few days now, the big difference that I see is obviously in cameras, because this phone has 48 megapixels all over the three cameras, so the photos are definitely much more clear than the 16 Pro, because 16 Pro has 48 megapixels on the main camera, and then 24 megapixels on their zoom camera and on their wide camera as well. 16 Pro Max zooms up to 24 times with the digital zoom, so it's obviously it's a crop in, so it's not the best quality. The best quality for the actual lens is a 5 times zoom, and on 17 Pro the third camera zooms up to 8 times. It's pretty cool, I can't lie. The zoom is very good and the quality is very great. This phone also records in Apple ProRes RAW, which is different from 16 Pro. This one wasn't able to do that. We're still testing the actual capabilities of the phone and how it performs in real life situations, and I will be taking this onto some sets and maybe even trying to film some proper production videos with the iPhone. We're definitely gonna be doing some more cinematic video shot on iPhone tests. We'll see. We're also waiting for Polar Pro's accessories that are coming soon. It's gonna be a case with a handle and with some filters for 17 Pros. That's gonna be a very exciting video to do, because you will be able to actually fully control the light that comes into the phone. Because at the moment how I'm filming, I'm only really using the actual iPhone camera app, because I can't control the shutter speed on it or everything else, because just exposure is gonna be a bit too crazy for the light that comes in. So we're still gonna be doing some more tests later on, but for now the camera is a major difference. That's every year, to be honest. But you know what, although I say that, I don't think that from 15 Pro to 16 Pro the difference was that big. I think it's much more different with the 17 Pro. This is actually a very noticeable difference, and the fact that it has ProRes RAW recording capabilities and open gate as well, that's actually pretty cool. So yeah, it's not just about another zoom lens. What stood out for me are the hints where the Apple is heading with filmmaking and their phones. You can tell they're not only thinking about casual photography anymore, they're adding features that actually mean something to those filmmakers. And that's why the next update, Apple Lock 2, is very important. A better sensor or another zoom lens doesn't mean much if the color science is off. This year, Apple gave us something that starts to behave more like an actual log profile. That's honestly a big step, because even though Apple introduced log profile a couple years ago with the 15 Pro phones, it really felt restricted. I mean, you could have graded it and everything was fine, but there was a very fine line between breaking the footage and that footage actually looking alright. It was very easy for the footage to fall apart in the grading process. With Log 2, you finally get some headroom. It's less about how good you can color grade it, and more about how hard can you push the footage. And if the footage doesn't fall off easy and withstands its ground, that image starts looking way more like a professional camera and not a phone. So the biggest thing that Apple added to this year's lineup for iPhone 17 Pros, it's a ProRes RAW format. Now, if you worked with RAW photos before, you already know the deal. The raw files save the most amount of information that the sensor provides into the file, which then means that you can actually adjust your contrast, your shadows, your highlights, your exposure without actually breaking the footage, and you have way much more room to actually edit your photo. Now combine that with ProRes. ProRes already gives you a editing friendly, high quality files that do not choke your system. With the ProRes RAW, you're actually getting best of the both worlds. The flexibility of RAW plus the efficiency of ProRes. It means that you can color grade your footage literally like you would with the cinema cameras. And the bridge between phone videography and the actual cinema line camera videography is getting smaller and smaller. Just keep in mind, when you're filming in ProRes RAW, you will have to use external SSD because the files are just simply too big and the phone does not let you record into internal storage. I don't know about the 2TB version, maybe I'm very wrong, but I'm the poor guy, I only have 256 gigs. Now this is the crazy part. Raw video on a phone was the sentence that I thought I will never say out loud. And while yes, it's going to eat up a lot of storage when filming in RAW, it's Apple's way of showing that they are thinking more about workflows outside of just a consumer content. It's also a statement. They're saying, we know filmmakers use iPhones, so let's give them tools. And OpenGate is another perfect example of that too. Alright, now let's talk about the OpenGate. So OpenGate is basically an ability to film and use the full sensor of your camera. What does that mean? So normally when we film landscape, we are using 16:9 ratio, which is our normal landscape horizontal look. But the sensor isn't 16:9, the sensor is 4:3, which means that when we're filming landscape, some of the sensor is not being used. Now, OpenGate allows you to actually film the video with a full sensor in use, so you get 4:3 ratio videos. Now, why is this good? It's good because you can readjust the footage, you can put it into vertical, you can put it into horizontal, you have more information in the image to use. My Sony FX3 cannot do that. What the f are we talking about? So yeah, OpenGate is really about flexibility. Shoot now, reframe later, either it's horizontal, vertical, or anamorphic. And again, this is not just for TikToks. This is a cinema camera feature. It makes me think that Apple isn't just competing with Samsung or Google anymore. They're competing with Sony, Red, Arri, of course, in their own way. Which brings me to the update that shocked me the most. Timecode and Genlock. iPhone 17 Pro also supports Genlock and timecode via ProDeck. Now, Blackmagic released an accessory that is called Blackmagic ProDeck or something like that. And it basically allows you to sync your phone with other cinema cameras or LED walls, which is very, very useful when you're doing multicam production. Okay, that's not even a phone feature anymore. That's a production feature. If you ever shot a multicam project, you know how extremely important it is to sync every single device. Seeing that on an iPhone, it tells me that Apple wants this phone in a professional set. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that Hollywood will now switch their Arri Alexas to iPhones, but it does mean that your phone can stand its ground as a crash cam or a second angle in an interview documentary. It really is capable of doing that now. The only problem is, all this data, all this heavy lifting, can phone even handle it? That's the practical side of filmmaking with a phone. It's not glamorous, but if the phone overheats in 10 minutes, none of these pro features matter. So the vapor cooling chamber might be the quietest but most important upgrade this year. Another thing that you should consider as well if you're filming with your phones, Apple actually is vapor cooling this phone. 17 Pro has a vapor cooling chamber that allows your phone to cool faster and spreads the heat throughout the whole body and not specifically into where the actual chip is. And if you remember, if you used iPhones before, there's always one spot that gets hottest in the back of your phone. So now the vapor cooling chamber technically should reduce that and spread the actual heat throughout the whole back and also cool it down faster. So if you shoot a lot, that might be a very big bonus for you. It's about reliability. And honestly, reliability separates toys from tools. But to keep things from being too dry and too focused on prosumers, Apple also added something more playful: dual capture. which means that you can record from your back camera and your front camera at the same time. So if you're a vlogger or doing social media and you need to film reactions while filming some kind of a reveal, that's literally what this is for. Hey, dual capture is fun because it's practical in small, interesting ways. You can implement this feature in a lot of scenarios. As I mentioned, if you're filming reveals, if you're some kind of a vlogger, if you do social media and you need to showcase something, but you also want to explain what you're showcasing. Imagination is your only barrier, really. It's not going to change the industry, don't get me wrong, but it's something that makes using a phone camera fun and interesting and new. Now, I don't use the front-facing camera much myself, but for creators who are shooting solo or vlogging, the new front camera features makes it feel less like an afterthought. What they actually done, they made a square sensor on the front-facing camera, which then means that you can actually do landscape photography without needing to tilt your phone on the side. I know that every single brand will copy that, and they should, because this is an amazing, it's not even an invention, it's just a clever thought that the Apple did. So now when you're taking selfies and you have a group of friends, you don't need to turn your camera on the side, you just literally press the button and the square sensor then divides itself and makes it look like it's a landscape even though you're holding the phone properly, which also cuts your arm out and you don't have those crazy extended arm shots when taking selfies. It actually makes it much more useful. You have the more zoomed in version, you have a bit more wider version, and then you can literally just swap to horizontal without turning your phone on the side. I can bet you that within the next couple of years, every single brand will do the same with their front-facing cameras as well, because it's great. So stepping back and looking at everything that we just talked about, the iPhone 17 Pro feels like Apple's most direct pitch to filmmakers. Not consumers, filmmakers. OpenGate, ProRes RAW, Apple Log 2, timecode, even cooling. These are not gimmicks. They're choices that push iPhones into the workflows that we never thought it will handle. Hey, for me it's not gonna replace my FX3. However, as a B cam, as a discrete street cam, or something I can integrate into real shoots, this phone is closest than any other phone that has ever been. Now the question is, will filmmakers actually gonna use it? What do you guys think? Would you use it on professional sets? Or will it sit in a bag as a cool option that no one really trusts? What do you guys think? Let me know, would you use the iPhone on professional sets? Would you want to buy, or maybe you already bought iPhone 17 Pro and you're already thinking about how you're gonna utilize that into filmmaking? Thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Elvis Creative. I'm not gonna say that we'll see you next Wednesday 5 p.m. sharp, because as you see, I skipped few months. I was very busy, so I do apologize for not being around and uploading videos regularly. However, I have some insane content coming up. Everything's already filmed. It only needs editing. So fingers crossed, you will see it very soon. Peace.
You put it on the line when the stakes high. When you let up on the grind when the stakes high.